Welcome to the Mortgage Podcast, where we give tactics, strategies, and inspiration to get you to 10 plus loans per month. We talk a lot about how to make a ton of money in mortgage while also being happy and thriving in your personal life. If you want to be a mortgage millionaire, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mortgage Podcast, where we try and get everyone to 10 plus loans a month. And today we're talking about the 3 best business questions ever. So let me set the stage. You come into a business relationship. Let's use a retail example. And I walk into a store to get a cell phone case. They don't have the cell phone case. I'm going to feel like, okay, who has one? I have no idea. Well, you work in a cell phone store. Like, haven't you been asked this question before? I'm going to feel as a customer, I'm going to feel unheard and I'm going to feel semi-offended, even though it's a small thing. Okay. So now take this to a consultant, like a lawyer, a doctor, a loan officer, a realtor, and we're dealing with a lot of big issues. And that little case where I didn't buy the $10 phone case is one thing. But when we're talking about big transactions, it does become more important to be really intelligent in understanding how to serve our clients better. And so this is meant to be business to business questions that I would ask the home builder I'm doing loans with. I would ask a new prospect, a new realtor that I'm meeting with. I would ask this of an existing realtor that we've done business for 3 years with. These are 3 questions that you can stick in your back pocket, you can put on your phone, and you can pull them out anywhere, and you will really wow the person and at the same time, get great feedback, like really great feedback. You guys know, if you know me at all, I'm very curious and ask a lot of questions because I believe that the needs of that person is my responsibility to help with and solve as much as I can without going overboard and, crossing a line. Like, someone needs to hire an assistant because they're very busy. I don't need to go out and actually hire their assistant for them, but I could help them through that process. And that would be enough for 99% of them. So in context, let's do the first question. The first question is, and again, you can use this in all the 3 areas I just said. What do I need to do over the next few months to blow you away? And say to yourself, I love working with Todd. He literally changed my life. What is that for you? Now, notice the words are important. What do I need to do over the next few months to blow you away? And say, I love working with Todd. He changed my life. But how you phrase the question is just as important. Notice how you emphasize certain words. You slow down, high voice, low voice, to get them to really think about the questions and know that you really want that true answer. So how you say these things is important. The words are important. How you say them is important. So that's a great question. How do you blow someone away? But saying it in such a way that they understand the question and they're ready, willing to give you a response that's well thought out. The second one, where do you feel you're settling right now in your business instead of building what you really want? Let me say it again. Where do you feel that you're settling in your business instead of building what you really want? Just let them think. And they may take several seconds and be like, wow, where am I settling in my business? Actually, I think I could do this. Oh, great. Why do you think that? Why is that important to you? And you drill down a little bit. Okay. Third question. What is the real bottleneck now where your business is today versus where you know it could be? Again, the last 2 questions are more, how can I help you? Let's drill down on how I can help you. The first question is, how do I help you? Period. How do I help your business? How do I blow you away? Okay. Those are 3 questions. Now, there's no lack of questions, like really well thought out questions. And you could take them to almost any situation, business, personal life, like ask these deep questions so that you can really get answers and effectively communicate with each other. In this case, it's a business setting, and I'm really trying to help. And there's no way that they're not going to feel that way if you ask those questions. Now, let me say the last question again, how you don't want to say it. Hey, Cindy, what do you think is the bottleneck now in your business versus where you know it could be? It's too soft. It's too boring. There's no emotion to it. There's no feelings for it. And so they're not going to take the question well, and they're going to give you a BS weak answer because how you said
the question was weak. You know, this is like that moment in every movie where at some point, I'm thinking right now of the movie Crazy Rich Asians, and she's flying home. She broke up with the love of her life, and he fights through the airport and buys a ticket and gets on the plane because he can't get on the plane, and bags are falling on him, and he looks at her and he's all, I love you. Okay. That's the moment. The whole movie is the buildup to that moment where they finally commit love to each other. Okay. Every movie has that. This is your chance. This is that magic moment where you're trying to truly elicit from someone, what do they really want and need? How do you, as a vendor, the first question was, how do I blow your brain and say, I actually changed your life? Now, some of the psychology behind this is we don't want to ask these questions because we're afraid of the answer. So let's just talk about that briefly. When you're willing to risk for someone, they can feel it. This is in any relationship. This is part of how you show them how you feel. You want so much to do business with them that you're willing to ask the tough questions and hear the tough answers and really help them and amaze them so that they can take their business to a next level. Okay. 80% of the time, a person sells a house, they need a mortgage. So you're an integral part to their business. We can't do business without the other. So it's a very tight relationship when it's done correctly. And these questions, I'm not saying you would ask all three of these in one sitting. Usually it's just one. And then you go deep with that one and try and really understand how to understand them and help them with whatever the answer is that they come up with. And I think some people, when I've taught this, they will say things like, Todd, there's a lot of psychology. Like, am I a psychologist? I'm like, yeah, you kind of are, right? If you really want to get to know someone, you have to ask some deep questions. And these are 3. I could have given you 25, but it's too overwhelming. If I were to say, what are 3 questions that are really good to ask in a business to business setting? This is it. Okay. So I want you to take this. I want you to memorize these questions. I want to put them on your phone. I want you to have them start doing it. Like, you're going to a coffee tomorrow morning, bust out one of these questions. You're going to a lunch, bust out these questions. These are questions best answered in person, but if it's not possible to meet them in person, you can do it over the phone or on a video call, as long as it's kind of not rushed. This is not something you're like, hey, before you get off the phone, I want to ask you this question. Like, context is important. You ever see someone who is a close talker? Like, you're in a social setting and they're talking to you and they're spitting on your face because they're so close. Okay. That person lacks context. Not everyone wants to smell your breath when you're talking to them. Most people don't. So you got to have context with these. You got to be aware of what's going on. If the person just told you that they're going through a divorce, you don't spring this question on them. That's a later thing. So you got to know when it's proper to ask these questions. That's why, I told a story on another podcast, and I was struggling with my son. And so I took him to dinner and we had 2 hours together. So that was a proper setting. If I would have just asked him the questions I asked him over the phone, he'd be a typical young man and say, Dad, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. And it'd be easy for him to do that because he's not looking me eye in the eye. When you're at dinner or you're in a personal meeting with someone, they can't really go anywhere. Right. So they're like, I can't really script this question because I can't just say, I'm late to a meeting. Right. So when you ask these, remember the context to it, remember the question, and remember how you say it, how you ask is very important because you'll get the proper response when you do those 3 things right. Okay. You can send this to anybody and they're going to get benefit. Please send it to one person. That's how it spreads. That's how this stuff goes. I don't advertise. The whole goal is to get some of these ideas out and give you nuggets to where you can say, hey, I can listen to this and I can put it into practice the same day or the next day. That's the goal of these short episodes. Have a beautiful day. I appreciate you listening.